Hello friends, today I am here with Heidi Matzke at Alternatives Pregnancy Center, and we're going to be coming around and looking around and see what is Alternatives Pregnancy all about. We get to hear your story and I am so excited, so stay tuned because this is going to be an amazing time of what God is doing through this ministry and through Heidi. Hello Heidi.
Hello, thank you so much for being here. It is such an honor to have you all with me, to have you actually in our clinic and to share with you just the amazing things that God is doing in and through Alternatives Pregnancy Center, to give you a window into my life and my story and how God had placed this call in my life and brought me here, and then to kind of give you an idea of the platform that the Lord has put us on nationally this last year. So
yes, it's so exciting, and you know what, I want to honor you today. I want to honor you and I want to thank you for everything that you are doing, for being that voice for the voiceless, for giving that choice to women. So it's something so exciting, and show us around, tell us what it's all about.
So this is Alternatives Pregnancy Center. Again, this is our waiting room. We actually have been serving the Sacramento area for the last 36 years. We just had our 35th anniversary last year. And just to give you an idea of who we are and what we do and how APC was founded, 37 years ago, Billy Graham, the great evangelist, was giving a speech to thousands of people. And in that speech, he spoke against abortion. And a young woman that was in the audience actually sat in tears and afterwards thought, I want to write a letter to Billy Graham explaining why I had an abortion. And she goes on to explain the gut-wrenching personal story that she had at the age of 16 when she found out she was pregnant, and her mom took her to Planned Parenthood. Because it was an interracial baby, this young woman was forced to have an abortion, even though she didn't want to. And so she pleads with Billy Graham and says, would you have paid for my medical bills, Billy? Would you have supported me in this unplanned pregnancy? Because some of us women were not baby killers. We did not want to make this choice, but there were no other options for us, and there was no one there to support me, to help me choose life, to give me the resources that I needed to choose life. And so would you, before you talk about abortion to a mass audience, would you please consider the fact that not all of us really wanted to make this choice, but we felt like there were no other options. And so Billy Graham took that letter to heart. And not only did he take it to heart, but it led to one of the largest grassroots movements in our country. And that's really where pregnancy centers were birthed out of. So it is so vital to know, not only are we called to sit with a woman in one of the most vulnerable places of her life, to just take you there. When a woman is told you are pregnant, those words are the most powerful words spoken over her life other than, will you marry me? You are pregnant are words that have eternal weight and impact. It will affect everything that a woman does for the rest of her life. And so places like Alternatives exist to be a safe place where a woman can sit down, she can walk through the feelings and emotions of the fear or the joy. Some women, those words basically are the words that they've longed to hear their whole life. And for some women, because of their life circumstances, it is the scariest moment in their life. And so we believe here at Alternatives, we believe in sitting down with a woman in that situation, offering her hope, offering her a listening ear, offering her all the medical services that she needs, and then giving her those options to choose life and to see the beauty of life and to be all of the support that she needs. And so again, that's why Alternatives Pregnancy Center exists. A little bit about how God brought me here personally. God, about 23 years ago now, I was raised in a Christian home, and my little sister and I were pro-life, and we spoke out about life and life issues all throughout high school. And my little sister got involved in a relationship that she knew was not God's best for her. And as a result of that, she broke it off with her boyfriend in May. and was getting ready to leave her senior year for college. Full ride scholarship to Point Loma in San Diego. And the day we were leaving for college, she wasn't feeling well. And my mom said, before we get in the car and before we drive for 15 hours and drop you off at school, I think you should just go to the doctor. And my sister, really having no idea what was going on with her body, came home from that doctor's appointment, and I was the only one home at the time. And when she walked in the door, she collapsed on the ground and she said, "You're never gonna believe this, but I'm pregnant." And so for the first time, being pro-life activists, we experienced the great pain, the great fear that comes when those words are spoken over your life. And I collapsed on the ground with her and hugged her, and we prayed. And I will say that today, 23 years later, my nephew is now a youth pastor in downtown Colorado, married, and is very pro-life, as you can imagine. But it was Alternatives Pregnancy Center in Denver, Colorado, that actually walked our family through this whole crisis situation. And I saw the impact that they had on my sister. And so as a result, I thought, I want to be involved in this ministry. So when my husband and I moved from Denver to Sacramento, there just happened to be, by God's grace, an Alternatives here. And so that is why and how God really brought me to Alternatives. We've been in this location for 6 years. We just redid our lease. Prior to 6 years ago, we basically offered pregnancy tests and ultrasounds as a licensed medical clinic here in the state of California. And so here recently, God did an incredible work, and I will bring you into the clinic and kind of share more.
Everything is so cute and cheerful, and
yes.
It's just, it's a happy place.
Yes, it is a happy place.
And you can see that it's a very exciting place.
Yeah. We definitely have clients that come in and they say, "Oh my gosh, I never expected this place to be so beautiful." And the reason why we do that, it's not just because we love color and we want to love on our clients. It's because we recognize that when a woman is feeling vulnerable and fearful and scared, if we can bless her in any way, shape, or form, we get to do that.
As women, they're all about, beauty.
They are.
I see beautiful things all around them.
Yeah. So again, this is our ultrasound room. We are a fully licensed, again, medical clinic. 6 years ago, we had we were desiring to offer ultrasounds, and we needed an OBGYN in order to do that. And an OBGYN here in California, his name is Dr. Vanson Wong. He actually was an abortionist for years, and he lost a patient on his table. And as a result of that, he cried out to the Lord and said, "Lord, if you would rescue me in this deep time of grief, I will serve you with the rest of my life." And so he actually showed up at a local church here, and there was a pastor, Ray Johnston, who was giving a sermon on abortion from the pulpit, actually. And he goes on to say it's because of the medical accuracy at which he described the abortion process that God literally pulled the scales from his eyes. And at the bottom was an information about how to get involved with Alternatives Pregnancy Center. So he called, and it was in that very moment that we were looking for a medical director in order to become a fully licensed medical clinic. And so 15 years ago, Dr. Van came to our clinic, and that allowed us to become a fully licensed medical clinic.
My question to you is, how in the world did you get involved in this type of industry, in this ministry?
Yeah.
Maybe tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get involved in this? How did you become a part of something this great? Like you mentioned, your husband is a pastor, and I know, my husband is a pastor, so I know all the responsibility that comes with that already. Yeah. And then running this is a ministry of its own. It is. Tell me your story.
Yeah, so it started with my sister and her unplanned pregnancy. And then my husband, when we moved here 20 years ago and got involved in Alternatives just by supporting in little ways, galas, doing walk for lives and that sort of thing, they asked my husband, because he is a pastor, and because we're so passionate about this cause, to be on the board. And so for 6 years, he was on the board, and unfortunately, the organization kind of took a downturn, and they were looking for another executive director. And he came home from work one day, and I actually that day was teaching in women's ministries, and I was teaching in the book of Hebrews about how when God does this major transformation in your life, and I was focusing on Hebrews 9, talking about God doing away with the old covenant and bringing a totally new covenant, the covenant obviously of Jesus Christ and the blood shed and no longer needing to sacrifice, and how he had done away with all the old and how he had come and is doing a new work. And I came home from teaching in women's ministries that night, and my husband walked in the door from a board meeting here and said, I resigned, and they're going to pursue you as the next executive director at Alternatives. And I think I said some few choice words to him that were not very nice. Because I remember thinking at the time, there's no possible way. I already help with children's ministries. I already do women's ministries. I already am a pastor's wife, which you're all aware of what that is. I have
children, right?
I have my 2 children to raise in the fear of the Lord. And then at the time, God had just taken a homeless kid off the streets and placed in our home and in our care. And so I thought, Lord, what does that even look like? And so the fear was absolutely overwhelming to me. And I truly, the only reason why I interviewed for the job was because I thought there's no way they're going to hire me. And maybe it'll just be a good
At
experience
least you can say,
for me.
I tried.
Yeah, right. Okay, Lord, I did what you asked me to do, right? And that was the only reason why I interviewed. And I really, I did not think they would hire me. And primarily because I'd never ran a medical clinic before. I've never had, and I'll just be honest, I've never had an unplanned pregnancy. I've never had an abortion, and I'm blonde, and I don't mean that in a demeaning sort of way. What I mean is I don't necessarily represent the clientele that walks into our clinic. And so I was just telling the Lord all the reasons why I was ill-equipped and I wasn't a good fit for this job. And I remember as I was saying, Lord, there's no way. He was saying, you know what, Heidi, you're right. And we all know when we hear the Lord speak to us, it's like, you're right. You have no idea what you're doing. And that's why you better be face down before me every single day. You better be fasting and praying. And you better do everything that you can to make sure that this ministry honors me. And Heidi, when I make this ministry successful, because it isn't us that makes ministry successful, it's the Lord. When I make this ministry successful in and through you, I will get all the credit for it. You just walked in obedience, that's it. And so sure enough, they unanimously approved to invite me to be the executive director. And before I said yes, I'll never forget, that night I literally cried myself to sleep. And I remember just crying out before the Lord, just saying, Lord, how do I sacrifice my own 2 children on the altar in order to save and rescue other children? As a mother, how do I give up all of this time? What does it look like for me to be a pastor's wife and to wear all of these hats? I'm not one that's like, hey, I want to be an executive director, or I want to go do all of these things. I'm very comfortable doing my little things for the Lord, and God said, no, this is what I've asked you to do. And I woke up that next morning, and my devotions that morning just happened to be about Abraham putting Isaac on the altar. And it said, anything that you sacrifice unto the Lord for his glory will never go unblessed. And 4 years later, God's taken our clinic from this little 2-person part-time staff, one little half payroll left, to we now have a staff of 10 mixed medical versus non-medical staff. We've got again, 2 OBs, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, 6 nurses. We have a mobile clinic, which I'm going to show you. We have an ultrasound unit in here, and we provide all the same services on the mobile unit that we have.
Wow. So is the doctor or the nurses going out?
Yep.
Wow.
This doctors and nurses are on here. There's a door from the inside to the back end is where all of our pregnancy tests and our STD testing takes place back here. So there's 3 ultrasound screens. There's one there, and then this is also an ultrasound screen. So when a woman is sitting there and they're doing an ultrasound, she sees her baby images up here. Yeah.
And this van goes out every day?
It goes out 4 days a week into the community with a nurse and volunteers on board, and serves up to 6 patients a day.
And how long have you had the van?
So we've had the van for 6 years now. God put us on this national platform because not only that, we also offer full women's health services, to that vision that he gave me of, I want you to go into Sacramento. I want you to offer all the services that Planned Parenthood offers, and I want you to offer it with the hope and the love of Jesus Christ. And I want you to reclaim this land, not just Sacramento, but reclaim this land for my glory. And there was that vision that God gave me in Joshua, where he said, Joshua and Caleb, there is giants in that land, and that land is filled with sin, and it's my promised land, and I want to reclaim that land for my glory. So you don't look to the left, you don't look to the right, you don't look at the giants, you keep your eyes focused on me, and you go do what I've asked you to do. And that's what he's asked me to do. And so this last year we had the privilege of helping overturn a law that was against all pregnancy centers in the state. It was AB 775, and it basically was backed by Planned Parenthood, forcing all pregnancy centers in California to refer our clients for abortion, going against our freedom of speech.
Exactly.
We don't exist to offer abortion. We exist to offer hope and life and help a woman in that situation. And so we helped overturn that law, and then we had the privilege of being before 500 federal and state judges and just talking about the great work that we offer our community. Clinics like ours, especially what we do here, we offer almost $1 million of free medical services to any woman, whether she has insurance or she doesn't have insurance, no matter what, when she walks into our clinic, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what she looks like, we serve her with the love of Jesus Christ and with the medical services that she needs so that she can have hope and that she can choose life for herself. And that will affect her for generations, you know? So
you never know.
You never know
who that kid will become.
I know. It's so true.
It just reminds me, you are a perfect example of being a person that is answering the call of Jesus, and of that God qualifies whoever he calls.
Yes.
He's not looking for people that are qualified, that you know, that know everything about the abortion or
because I'm certainly not qualified.
but you know what? You are called, and you answer to that call, and that's amazing to see what God has done through this ministry, through you personally, and in this clinic, and what you guys do for the community. It's amazing. You can only, you know, look back and say, God, if it would not be for you, this would not happen, you know?
What I realized when I came to APC 6 years ago is that we were really 2 part-time staff. We had 1 payroll left, and I didn't even have a nurse here at our clinic. And in 6 years, or in 5 years, God has now grown us to a staff which includes 2 OBGYNs, a physician assistant, a nurse practitioner, 6 registered nurses, 2 RDMSs, and we have a mobile clinic that serves the community. And God gave me this vision several years ago after I watched a video of Planned Parenthood, this vision as I was studying in the book of Joshua of what would it look like to offer all the services that Planned Parenthood offers, minus abortion, for free and with the hope of the gospel attached to it, so that we can truly prove that we care about women holistically, and we can prove that our Father's heart, God's heart for women, as they sit in that moment, in that fear and wrestle, what would that look like? And yet in those moments, as I presented that before a lot of people, they told me it wasn't possible. They told me that being a full-fledged women's health clinic offering prenatal care, full OBGYN care, that the cost was going to be too big, and because we are not a government-funded organization, that people wouldn't support our cause. And And I looked back at them and said, you don't know my God. Because if this is what God has called me to do, and this is the vision that he's given me to do it, then God will make a way. He will make it happen. And it happens through people like you, caring about our ministry, knowing what we do, and supporting everything that we do.
So you guys are a nonprofit?
We are a nonprofit, faith-based. We do not receive any government funds. All of our donations come from churches or from individual donors, yes. So the services we now offer, we were able to become fully medical in February of this last year. We are the only clinic in Sacramento that is fully medical and fully free to women. So there are two different types of abortion. So when a woman goes into an abortion clinic initially, doesn't come to Alternatives Pregnancy Center, she is really met with only two options. That's all she's given. She's not given any other choices. She's not encouraged to make any other choices. They will not even show her the ultrasound image on the screen.
Yeah, because they don't want it. Because
they
every
don't want
woman,
them,
when they would see that there's a life, there's a baby inside,
there's a heartbeat.
Most likely they're not gonna say yes to abortion. You know, so there's purpose of not showing those images.
Very, very purposeful. And so what happens is she chooses surgical abortion, and when she does, there's a doctor there. As gruesome as it sounds, there's a doctor present, there's a nurse present. She's numb from the waist down. The remnants are removed from her womb, and she leaves just emotionally scarred for the rest of her life. But if she chooses chemical abortion, and really chemical abortion is the actual abortion of the future, because it targets 12-year-olds all the way up to 30-year-olds, because the idea is that they would take a quick pill and their problem would go away. But what we're seeing with many of these women is they take that pill, they go home, and they have literally no medical support from that moment on. They're told to take the first pill, to go home, and then to take a second series of pills 24 to 48 hours later. So if you can imagine a 13-year-old little girl, parents don't even know what's going on. She's taken a first series of pills. That first pill basically causes the starvation process in her womb. It blocks the baby's ability to absorb progesterone, which allows the baby to grow healthy. And then the second series of pills she takes 24 to 48 hours later. So again, imagine a young woman in a bathroom, isolated, all by herself, no doctor, no nurse, parents don't even know what's going on, and she's literally,
because I have a daughter, so for me to even think of this, who takes responsibility if something does happen?
No one. You
know, it's
so she's isolated, which is exactly where the enemy wants her. She's isolated in a bathroom, and she literally goes into labor on the floor. She sees everything. She has no pain medicine, again, no doctors present, and she's in agony. And then she sees, many of them see the baby on the floor, because this is given up to 72 days gestation. So the pain, the visual, no doctors present, and then they actually physically clean up the mess of it and flush it down the toilet or throw it in the trash. And so we here at Alternatives, getting back to who we are and what we do, is we offer a service that nobody else in Sacramento offers. It's called Abortion Pill Reversal Services. And so basically what that does is, if a woman goes to Planned Parenthood and chooses a chemical abortion and immediately regrets that choice, she often, 99% of the time, is on the internet searching in the middle of the night, can I reverse this abortion? And yes, there's an 800 hotline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We will meet her down here at our clinic when she calls us. When she walks in the door, she's met by our medical team. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She comes in, she lays down, and she's immediately given an ultrasound. And if the ultrasound image reveals that there is still a heartbeat, then what we do is we immediately jump in and we prescribe her with double doses of progesterone, which just then refeeds the baby and allows the baby to continue to grow in a healthy manner.
So it's possible to reverse that? I never knew that.
We can reverse the abortion pill. Which is amazing, because, you know, rather than intercepting a woman on the sidewalk, to know that in our day and age that we have the ability to step in the midst of a chemical abortion and help reverse the effects. We are the only clinic in Sacramento that really does that. And again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Last year, we saw 4 women, and we were able to reverse the abortion pill for 4 women. This year, we were seeing on average 1 a week. Because the abortion pill is becoming so much more prevalent, and more women are getting it in their hands. And there's a new law that's being passed. It's called SB 24. And so what that new law will do is it will put the abortion pill on every college campus, UC, CSU campus, throughout the entire state. So what that means for everyone is that the scenario that I just painted of a young woman at home in her bathroom is now the scenario that's going to be on co-ed, disgusting floors in college campuses all over our state. And so the great need that we have, which is why I reached out to you, it costs us about $500 a patient to serve her and to provide her with all the progesterone and added services that she needs. And so if that law gets passed this year, we've already tripled in the number that we've seen this year with our college campus right down the street. Our clinic is going to be busting at the seams to try to continue to help serve these women. And so it's vital to figure out how in the world, Lord, are we going to financially provide for all of what's going to happen to us this next year. And so not only do we provide, all the services to help a woman choose life, even when a woman has chosen the abortion pill, we can intervene by God's great design and still help a woman see the beauty of life and reverse the effects, which is absolutely incredible. And just last year, one of our greatest stories was a woman who did, and her little baby brought her on stage during our gala. And here's this precious little life available here with us because of what Alternatives has done, which is a pretty incredible thing.
Thanks to people that do care. And let me tell you, God has provision. He has people, and if you are watching and it's burning in your heart, and it should burn in every single believer's heart, because this is the child, this is our future, this is something that it's so important. If we do not care, then the world out there will care. They will supply them with pills, and they will kill the whole generation. So reach out. You guys will see on your screens the hotline. You guys will see the address, the contact information. Reach out and sponsor something that is so vital and so important and so life-changing.
All right, so let's continue. Okay, come on. So basically what happens is when a woman comes into the clinic, she fills out a paperwork online. All of it is digital, and she is greeted by one of our what's called client advocates. A client advocate is a specially trained, they go through extensive crisis training, how to help a woman in the midst of a difficult decision, be a good listener, what to do, how to help her. So like a counselor, yes. They're not licensed counselors, but they go through excessive training. And so she will come in, she'll be seated, a client advocate will meet with her, and because APC is a huge community referral, we get all kinds of people that come here. And so really it's the client advocate's responsibility to figure out what is this patient or this client's need. Is it housing referrals? Is it they need WIC resources? Is it that they need medical support? And if it is truly medical and they're here for an ultrasound or a pregnancy test in an unplanned pregnancy, then they are immediately met with our medical professionals, and the medical professionals take them from there. So we have 3 of these lovely client advocate rooms, and then every room is filled with a touchscreen computer. And basically what's great about this touchscreen is that if a woman is contemplating, what choice should I make, there is a video that's on here that actually says, before you decide, here are all your options that you're presented with. There is the option of parenting, there is the option of adoption, and then there is the option of abortion, and the different types of abortions that are available to a woman, and what to expect, that maybe she wouldn't hear those things necessarily from Planned Parenthood. She is educated when she's here. And mind you, we don't financially benefit from any choice choice that a woman makes. So we truly are here. We don't make any money off of whether she chooses life or whether she chooses an abortion. We are truly here just to sit with that woman in that moment and help walk through all the fears that she has. So we have all the resources on our computer for her. And we have 3 of these client advocate rooms. If and when a woman chooses life and comes to our clinic and says, you know, I'm so thankful for everything that you do, and I really want to choose life, but I need help. So the same client advocate that greeted her when she first came in actually becomes her mentor for 2 years, walks through a 2-year parenting program with her, and I love how our computers are set up. So if a young woman comes in and she's just had a baby, and maybe she is experiencing postpartum depression symptoms, then we can immediately address those issues with her, and she can learn what are postpartum symptoms. If a woman comes in and she is experiencing issues with nursing or breastfeeding, we have a lactation consultant on our staff that will help her. If there's safety issues, there is father mentoring programs, postpartum, how to care for your newborn. And this program is designed for whatever a woman is experiencing at the time that she walks in. She immediately gets to learn and gets the support that she needs through our parenting program. And our parenting program is called Earn While You Learn. And basically what that means is when they come in, they take parenting classes and then they earn fake money. And then when she earns fake money, she basically comes in here and she gets to shop for anything that she needs. So everything in here has been donated by local churches or by individuals. We have maternity clothes, baby clothes, diapers, formula, wipes, so anything that a woman needs to be successful in parenting. As she comes and is educated in her parenting classes, then she earns anything and everything that she needs. Now you get to see our back room where anything that is donated basically comes into here. It's sorted through and then it's passed on to ministries. If we don't need it, it's passed on to other ministries that might need this kind of thing. And then as it's needed is put back into our nursery nook. And then this area that you see right here is our volunteer room. We have currently 42 volunteers who are part of Alternatives Pregnancy Center, and they do all their charting, they do further education, they do, what else do you do? She's sending out prayer requests right now for current clients that come to us.
So as we're talking about volunteers, how can someone get involved and, if they have this on their heart to volunteer and to help you and, maybe they cannot help financially, but they say, you know what, I have time and I want to put in my time and I want to help and be helpful in this ministry. How can they get involved?
So there's lots of different volunteer opportunities. First off, we have our Gala for Life coming up, and we always need volunteer help for that.
What is Gala for Life?
So Gala for Life is our one big event a year that basically helps us raise about 50% of our annual income. And it is the main event that sustains us throughout the year. It's here in Sacramento, and it's on September 28th. And it's at the DoubleTree Hotel. And so we always need help setting up. We always need help with bank. So you can get involved and be a part of that actual event. All you got to do is go to pgtest.org. And if you're seeing this and it's after September 28th, you can register for the next year's event.
Amazing.
Yes. Or you can text the word HELP APC to 51555, and that gives you a drop-down list of all of our volunteer opportunities. So whether it is maybe you're interested, maybe you've had a personal experience yourself, and you're like, this is important to me, I want to get involved. I always encourage you, come down for a tour first, start with that, and then we look at what are your gifts? What are the gifts that God's given you? And we very purposefully put them through a skills test, And then that's how we place them within our organization, whether it's as a client advocate, whether it's helping organize our Nook, going out into the community and spreading the word about who we are, stuffing envelopes for big mailers. There's all kinds of ways to get involved. And all these bins that you see over here actually are full of baby bottles. These baby bottles actually are how we raise a ton of support every year. So if there are churches that want to get involved and do a baby bottle campaign, what they do is we pass out baby bottles in our congregation. They take it, they fill it with cash, check, or change, and then they bring it back to the church, and then we collect all of them, and we do all the counting here, which is kind of crazy. But this is a huge fundraiser that we do in the community for all the local area churches, and this again brings in about a third of our annual income. So this is also a way you can get involved, not just by giving to baby bottle campaigns, but putting all these little baby bottles together is a lot of work. So yes, administratively stuffing these is awesome. So, okay, so let's take you upstairs. Originally, when I told you that, you know, my dream when I went before my board, and I had this dream of expanding and making all of downstairs medical. And they originally told me, you know, it can't be done. We need more medical personnel in order to make this fully medical, and we need more money. And so I said, again, you know my God, if he's given me this vision, he's going to make it happen. And so as I presented that before the board, right before our gala a couple of years ago, we had no one registered for that event. And so we as a team fasted and prayed and said, God, you've given us this vision, provide the means to make it happen. And the week before the event, a couple came in, a Russian couple came in and took a tour. And at the end of the tour, I said, do you have any questions? Having no idea who they were. And they said, actually, I feel like we need to take off our shoes. I feel like we're standing on holy ground. And he proceeded to tell me that she had this vision, they had this dream of opening a clinic like ours, because she is a physician assistant and she wanted to give her life to this type of ministry. And a physician assistant is exactly what we needed in order to offer women's medical services. And so he basically said she wants to quit her salary paid job. She's going to go out, she's going to raise all of her own support, and she wants to come and work for you. So that was piece number one. God provided the exact person that we needed. And that at our gala that year, it was our goal to raise $150,000, and God brought us almost $500,000 that year and just blew us away. So immediately we were able to make this entire clinic medical, and then to add all the medical components, all the equipment that we needed to be fully medical, we were able to pay for that as well. So our dream was to actually grow and take over this whole section. And the day that we were making that happen, the day that I was signing the lease, there were 15 people in our suite, and the broker called me and said, I just want you to know that somebody has bought that whole section already. And so we prayed, okay, Lord, if this is not what you want, what do you want from us? And our broker called and said, you're never going to believe this, but there's the exact same square footage available upstairs. It's available immediately, and it's available for $800 less a month. And so we moved all of our administrative staff upstairs. Welcome to the administrative suite of Alternatives Pregnancy Center. And this up here, this is Wasitsa. She's our operations manager. Awesome. And Rebecca, she's our executive assistant, but she's also does all of our social media marketing. And basically up here is our bookkeeper, myself, and operations. And up here is where we perform all of our board meetings and all of our additional client advocate training.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you guys are doing. It's amazing that you guys are really actually educating women and saying, you know what, you have a choice. It doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter if it was, unplanned, if it was by choice, or if you were raped. It does not matter how it happened to you, but you have a choice of the responsibility of the outcome.
Yes, and unfortunately, our culture today basically tells women that they're not strong enough to choose an unplanned pregnancy and become an executive director. And I'm living proof that when God calls you to do something, and when He places life inside your womb, you better believe that God is going to provide all of your needs for you. And if you're on the other end of that screen And maybe you just found out that you're pregnant for the first time and you are desperately in fear. I want you to know that if God has placed something inside your womb and He has given life, He has an incredible purpose and an incredible plan for you. And you may not see it yet, but there are people that are going to surround you, and that life inside has tremendous value, and God will never leave you. He will never forsake you. And God will do amazing things with the life that's in you.
Yes, I've heard this story before. It says, our culture tells us, there are certain circumstances under which you should, do abortion. There is no other way, And this, he went on telling about, different kind of circumstances. If you were raped, you were this or you were that. And one of the circumstances, he says, imagine you're getting married, you have a, fiance, and wedding is coming up, and then you find out you're pregnant. And the horrible thing is that your fiance is not the father of your child. What do you do with this situation? Do you tell him? And he says, if you answer yes, that in this circumstance you should have aborted the child, you would have just aborted Jesus Christ.
Yes, it's true.
So,
so
you do not know who you're carrying. You do not know what this life is bringing. All you have to do is just say yes. I am open to choices. I want to hear about what really abortion does to your body, physically, mentally. Not only going to Planned Parenthood and learning that this is the only choice. You reclaim your body and go do what you wanted to do in your life, and baby will hinder this and will hinder your education and all those things.
And can I tell you that there's not been a single woman that has come here and chose life and come back and said, I regret that choice. Unfortunately, many of the women that walk out and choose abortion, and that's the other part of our ministry that I haven't even shared with you yet. The other aspect to what we do here is, even if a woman walks out and says, I'm going to choose abortion, I'm still going to move forward with this choice, we tell that woman that we also offer what's called post-abortive care. So when a woman goes and has an abortion and is devastated over the effects of that abortion, we do post-abortive healing classes here for her as well, loving on her even after the fact. Because if there's anything that I want your listening audience to know, it's vital that we all know that 1 in 4, firsthand, inside and outside our churches, 1 in 4 people have chose abortion. And the 1 in 4, that one person that is sitting in your congregation needs to know that Christ came, He died for you and for that sin of abortion. I had a woman come to me after I spoke at a church one day, and she said, Heidi, thank you for coming, but I just want you to know, not only can I not forgive myself, but I know that Christ doesn't forgive me of that sin, and I carry that guilt and shame around with me. And I just grabbed her precious hands, and I know this sounds crazy, but I looked at her and I said, you know what? You're not that important. And your sin is not that important, because it does not get to be the only sin that Christ's blood shed couldn't cover. Your sin of abortion doesn't get to be the only thing that Christ says, I didn't forgive you. No, He forgives you. And we are called to break the bonds of sin and death, and to set captives free.
The only sin that He cannot forgive is the unforgiveness. So if a woman cannot forgive herself, she needs to be walked through that forgiveness of her own self.
And that's what we do here.
So Christ, she can receive that forgiveness from Christ. So it's so amazing what you guys are doing. Honestly, I am just so excited. I'm excited that we met. I'm excited that you showed us around. I'm excited to reach out to people out there and say, you know what, if you have this burning desire for children, for people that are going through stressful situation like this, you need to get involved. You need to get involved as a volunteer.
You do.
If you are a medical staff, it doesn't matter, doctor, nurses, nurse practitioners, medical assistants,
we are
counselors,
in desperate need of medical personnel.
Chapels, whatever, whoever you are, you can volunteer, you can reach out, you can be part of this great vision and change Sacramento, change California, change America, and be the voice for those that do not have a voice. This is so vital. This is so important, because in Proverbs 31 it says that you need to be the voice. You need to speak up for those that do not have voices. And those little children do not.
Yes.
They cannot speak from the womb. They cannot say, save me. You know, so that's why alternatives pregnancies are here. And they say, you know what, we will be the voice.
Yes.
You know, Heidi, thank you for being that
You're
voice.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
being the voice for those children, because it is so important. Also, if you are that woman in crisis, you know, maybe you can address them.
Yeah.
What are the, you know, what should she do?
Well, first off, I just want to say that you're not alone, and that there are people out there that want to help you and support you in this process. And abortion is not your only option, and that there are free clinics. Every woman in America knows that Planned Parenthood exists, but not every woman in America knows that there are free clinics like ours that exist in your community to sit with you and to walk you through all that you're going through, and to offer you all the medical services that you need to make the best decision, the wisest decision for you and for your future and for the legacy that you're going to leave for yourself. And then I would say find someone that you can truly trust, or get on the internet and look for free pregnancy clinics in your area. Our clinic at pgtest.org, you can reach out to us, and we accept walk-ins for abortion pill reversal services. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We have a hotline.
We have a hotline. And again, even for you who maybe have experienced abortion, I just want to say you need to know that the Lord forgives you, and that He wants to use many of the women that volunteer actually at our clinic have experienced abortion firsthand, and they actually use that as a platform to then give back, because many say, had I only known about a place like Alternatives, my life would look different today, and I want to help women make a life choice. And so they come and they volunteer at our clinic, and then they give back, and that's what they use to serve the Lord in that. And that's how God uses all of us in our brokenness.
Yes.
He wants to remold us, and He wants to make beautiful things out of ashes. And so I think for me, when I recognized, okay, Lord, I've never had an unplanned pregnancy, and this is what I want to say to you on the screen too. Maybe you've never had an unplanned pregnancy. Maybe you've never had an abortion. What I realized why God called me to this place is that I may not represent the 1 in 4 that has experienced it, but I represent the majority. Yes. I represent the 3. And so because I haven't, that doesn't mean that you get to sit and be silent. You have a responsibility to rise up. The 3 and 4, you have a responsibility to rise up and to use your voice for God's glory. God says in Proverbs to rescue those who are being led to slaughter, that we have a responsibility to stand up and to rescue those who are stumbling to slaughter, and to protect those who are innocent. And we don't do that by force. We do that by the love and grace of Jesus Christ, and to offer medical services that are practical to them in the midst of their situation. And that's why I love our ministry, and that's why I love what God has called me to and called us to here, and He's called you to it.
Yes.
We are going to stand before the Lord in this issue. There are millions of abortions every year that take place worldwide, and we are going to be held responsible as believers in Jesus Christ.
It's
if
a
we are
massive
not,
slaughter.
it's a massive,
Yes.
yes.
A massive. So many children died. We talk about Holocaust.
Yes.
We talk about all those bad things that took place, but this is a massive Holocaust that takes place here,
Yes.
legally,
Yes.
in America and all over the globe.
And
massive. You know why things happen? Because the majority are silent.
Yes.
You know, the majority.
Because the majority say, well, it doesn't affect me,
Yes.
or I've never had this, so I can't speak up. But you must. And even men are being discouraged to be silent because you can't be pregnant, because you can't go through. But it takes a man and a woman to be pregnant.
Exactly.
And you have a responsibility as a man of God to rise up, to pour love and support over a woman who is in desperate need, and to believe that God could do something bigger and greater than you can even dream or imagine if this was not your plan. And Wasitsa, our operations director, I mean, she's a perfect living example of that. She faced an unplanned pregnancy and went to college, and I'm going to tell your story, Weiss. She went to college and actually got kicked out of her college because it was a Christian college when they found out that she was pregnant. And her and her boyfriend ended up getting married. Her daughter is now 27 years old, getting ready to have her own baby this week. And not only that, but the beautiful thing about her story is that the college that kicked her out, her daughter ended up with a full ride. They actually paid her to go to that school all those years later. And so I tell you that to be an encouragement to you across the screen. God does amazing things when we surrender to him. Just like for me and my call here, I'd never felt what it felt like to deny myself, to take up my cross and to follow Christ wherever that may lead. And this was not my plan, but this was God's plan. And we always want to choose God's plan because that's where his glory is. That's where his story is. We want to trust him and we want to choose him. And so here we are. And we just ask you all to get involved. And there's so many ways that you can do that.
Yes. Also, we all go out, have coffee, once a week, if Starbucks, whatever you drink, $5.
Yeah.
We all go out to restaurants and, think, well, it doesn't concern me. How can I help? There is no amount too small that cannot make an impact.
Yes.
Whatever you can do monthly, sponsor this ministry. This is for a good cause. These people, they're putting their life on the line here, okay?
Yeah.
And I want to see you expand. I want to see, more clinics around Sacramento so people can have access to more medical, services.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that, the majority needs to support, especially Christians. If you believe that, life is important, any life, stand with this ministry, support them, help them to expand. And I'm telling you that once you get to heaven, you will see your reward is great because you will see so many little children and so many people out there that were saved because of you, because you sacrificed that cup of coffee once a week and you sponsor this ministry. You will see what God's gonna do. And you know what? It's just, my heart is just exploding from joy and happiness. And my story is my first pregnancy. I lost a baby. My baby died when the baby was 24 weeks, and they took me to an abortion clinic. My doctor referred me because that's the only ones that could do the surgery to get the baby out. And honestly, it was like in the, I think it was downstairs. And once I got there was a security in front of the door. And I remember walking into that clinic and I just felt death. It was just so gloomy and it was just so sad. And it was just honestly such a cold feeling that even right now when I think about it, it gives me goosebumps. And I saw ladies coming in with, big bellies. I'm not talking about just, small beginning. And I saw young girls and it was just such a place of death. I told my husband I never want to be, here ever again. And after the surgery, a counselor took me in the room and they started talking to me about, what can I do to prevent the pregnancy next time? And I said, you don't know my story. I want to have a baby. Before you take me, I'm already going through trauma. You take me aside and you giving me all these things that I should not do. Look at my chart. Look, it's not just a number. So for me, the feeling that I felt, it was just death. But when I came into your clinic today, I'm telling you, it is so cheerful. It is so bright.
And that's very purposeful.
Yes, because colors just bring life, So I'm very glad that you decorated the way you decorated because it's something that, when you walk in, you know that there's choice, there's life. And, there's beauty in everything. It's not just some gloomy office you came in and... Even you dressed in pink, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, it's meaningful.
Thank
and
you.
For people, it's something amazing. And the feeling that you get, you cannot buy it just with the gloomy, office. So get involved, you guys. Get involved with this amazing ministry. You guys will see all the, hotlines. If you are going through, stress, trauma of unwanted pregnancy, of whatever, however you got there, but you are carrying life and you do not know what to do before going to Planned Parenthood, with their only two choices, either you abort or you abort. Give them a try. Go, go online, call the hotline. And even if you did take that pill, of chemical abortion, you can reverse it.
You can reverse it.
You can reverse it. Give them a call. They're available 24 hours a day. 7 days a week. Reach out. There's help available for you. There's help available. There's counselors online that they can help you walk you through, this emotional trauma. But let me tell you, newborn is, or carrying a life it's traumatic, even for wanted pregnancies. But you know what? Something beautiful is gonna come out of it.
Absolutely.
Because there is plan of God upon every single life that is coming here in this world. So you never know. Maybe you're carrying the next president.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
you're
so
carrying,
true.
a doctor, a lawyer, someone that's gonna do amazing work here.
Yeah.
So think twice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi.
I just want to end with one thing. Every year we choose a Bible verse that really is foundational to where God is leading us. Last year it was Joshua 1:9, which is be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. This year our verse is Esther 4:14. And Esther there was so much about her story that just has inspired us, a deliverance of a whole group of people facing her fears. And so Esther 4:14 really is known for the end of that verse where it says, you are here for such a time as this. But the pull that God placed on my heart is the beginning of that verse where it says, Esther, if you remain silent at such a time as this, look, relief and deliverance is going to arise from another place. I am God and I'm going to do what I am going to do.
Yes.
But I have called you not to remain silent. I have called you here for such a time as this, to stand up, to rise up for the cause of life. And again, on the other end of that screen, not just financially, use your voice for God, use your voice for life, and use your voice for His glory and in protection of the entire next generation.
Yes.
Rise up. And do not be silent.
Yes.
So that's my encouragement.
Amen. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Heidi. I
thank
am
you.
encouraged. Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm just excited about what God is going to do through you, through this ministry. Tell the story about the doctor the doctor's assistant that just came on board. Her story. How did she, Go ahead and tell.
Well, she just basically came to us because they love children and they want more children, and God has just placed this passion upon their heart. And she is a physician assistant, and she knows that ministries like ours are desperate for medical professionals, and it costs a lot of money to hire them.
Yes.
And so she just was so passionate. God had placed this call on her and her husband's life, and she thought, I want to use my medical professional skills to help in ways that are desperately needed. And that's why she came to us. And then she said, I know I'm expensive. I know you can't afford me. And so I'm going to go out and raise my own support so that you don't have to take that burden on yourselves. And I'm going to offer you all of my services for free, which is just an answer to God prayer.
It's our God. He does wonders. So if you can volunteer just for a few hours, if you can volunteer full time, they are in need of your help.
Yeah.
They are.
We on average serve 10 to 12 patients a day. So when you think about that, 10 to 12 patients a day for free, when you consider all the medical costs and you pay insurance,
and
what that costs, it's expensive.
Yeah.
One day we had 21 patients scheduled in one day here at our clinic and then also on our physical clinic. On average, we see 1,800 client visits a year. So you get an idea on the other end, like the scope of how many women we serve in our community. It's incredible. So.